everybody, and welcome back to the Exit Is Now podcast with me, your host, Scott Snider. We're recording podcasts here live at the Exit Planning Summit. High energy.
Live and in person.
It's a electrifying time. If you remember my walkout song this morning, we're here with our friend JT from Transworld. And you guys are coming out in a big way. We were kind of laughing off stage before we got on stage. Your booth is pretty epic over there.
The big booth.
And the big booth.
That's right.
And very friendly folks as well. Folks that, again, I think that if you just walked into the booth, beyond just the collaborative opportunity that you guys present, just good people to be around. So tell us why you showed up this year in support of Certified Exit Planning Advisors in such a big way.
It's great, Scott. Well, we were here last year, but Andy Cagnetto, our CEO at the time, was one of your keynotes. And I think there's just a big collaboration opportunity that we have not been taking advantage of. And I think that's also maybe for some of the CEPAs that are part of your network, they're missing out as well. So we look at it and go, there's two people that benefit here. Obviously, the first is the CEPAs and their clients. And then from our side, we've got 250 offices and 1,000 agents and brokers. And we're going, how do we make this synergy come together in a better way? So that's why we're here doing what we're doing.
Yeah, so talk about a little bit deeper, how can we partner with you? We heard my session on Sunday. We were talking about some people that are often considered in the decide gate of the methodology when I actually go to execute this exit, and they kind of wait for that moment to actually start to involve you. But in my opinion, folks like you could be involved way earlier on in the equation.
I think you're right. I think there's, like I said, missed opportunity there. We're not thinking of you guys. You guys aren't thinking of us until that time comes. But I think there's a lot more opportunity to get engaged really early with the seller. Look, there are often times when we encourage or we meet with sellers, potential sellers, and as we go through the initial conversation, we realize they're not really ready yet. And so we want to be able to connect them to someone who can get them through the acceleration model, et cetera. We use our exit factor folks that are part of our franchise family, but there are not exit factors all over the country yet. They're working on that pretty feverishly. But we do have other folks that we can get connected to, and they may be the financial planners, the wealth advisors, the estate planners, the CPAs, et cetera. As they start having those conversations, thinking about eventually you're going to need these people on the team. And the business brokerage world is, for us, it's 1,000 people, as I mentioned a minute ago, 250 offices all across the country, now 25 countries around the world. So there's really not an industry or a geography that we can't assist the clients of the CEPAs in.
Yeah, very cool. So talk to me about the market. I think it's something that I'm fascinated by. We're moving in. I'm trying to think actively with you. And I'm like, man, by the time I get home from this, I'm on like
Q2,
a big, we're almost going to be midway through Q2.
That's right.
Q2. We always have a pause point at EPI in our own business where we do what I call just simply a mid-year reflection. So everybody always has that annual strategy meeting that they go through. We do a pause point in the middle of the year to say, okay, are we on point? Are we off point?
That's
And should we make any changes or pivots? And so what's going on in the market in the M&A world? What should be interesting? What should we be thinking about? And if for a group of advisors that might work on the consulting side or the financial advisory side, what's going on in the M&A world that could be useful for us?
Yeah, well, I think, there's for us, there's multiple levels to this. There's the Main Street opportunity, the mom and pop, and they're running the jewelry store, the landscaping company, the auto mechanic. Then there's that maybe upper Main Street level, and then you get into the lower middle market space. Here's what we see across all of it. It's still extremely active. That baby boomer move out and lots of people thinking about making that transition is. We've heard about the wave. I don't know if there's a wave. I haven't seen the tsunami yet, but I think the tide is going out and the wave is coming our way. But we actually have more businesses to sell than we have great buyers. We have more buyers to sell than we actually have great businesses to sell them. And so our database at Transworld, 740,000 buyers that are looking actively for different businesses.
And who are the buyers?
It's kind of changed. It's a great question. Historically, there have been the private equity people on the higher level, family offices, but then you see a lot of corporate refugees, especially post-COVID. They were handed, they weren't called pink slips then, but
Yeah.
They were furloughed. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's another fancy word for we laying you off. You're
Yeah.
not coming back. So, but a lot of those folks looking to say, I want to get into something of my own. I want to control my own destiny going forward. So that's the individual buyer. And now in the last probably 5 to 7 years, the buyers coming into the market now are also a lot younger. And they're getting educated online through the gurus that they see, sometimes good and sometimes not good. You can buy a business with little to no money down, just go get a loan. The seller will finance 100%. And I go, not any of the sellers I'm working with. That's not what they're looking for. So you have to really adjust now that the part of the job used to be just find the buyer and bring them to the deal. Now, even more of the job is not only educating the seller and preparing the business and going to market the right way, but then preparing the buyer for, let me walk you through what the reality of purchasing this business is going to look like.
Right.
So the audience has changed.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that too. I was interviewed for Kiplinger magazine, right? And technically, I guess they considered me a startup entrepreneur because my first landscaping company, I started at the seat of my geometry class when I was 16, right? And so they said, Scott, we see your Exit Planning Institute stuff. Let's have an interview around startup entrepreneurship. And I said, do you really, I was looking at Donovan and the marketing team, and I'm like, is this a really interview that you want me to do? Because this was my advice. First, right out of the gate on a Zoom call, right? She's about to do this interview, and she goes, Scott, what's your advice for people that want to start a business? And I said, don't start one, buy one.
Buy one, yes.
And in my opinion, right, it's I think obviously if somebody have started a business, it's always a very tough thing to do. But if certified exit planning or ideally certified exit planning advisors are out there doing the work, preparing owners for sale, and there should be some pretty good businesses coming to market with solid brands, with solid customers, with solid culture and process and systems that we can then put our stamp on and take them to the next generation or the next next level.
Or even bring it to the next level before they're ready to sell it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
What do you think about entrepreneurship through ETA?
Acquisition?
Yes.
ETA is good. I think there's two sides to that story, right? ETA is certainly the shortcut. If there is such a thing, right? Because you're still going to have to come in. You're going to have to associate with this culture. You're going to have to go through that process of learning the business, being able to make the training and transition period take place. But a thing I think a lot of the newer generation forgets is the business you're about to buy, someone had to start.
Exactly.
So you can't, the economy can't just be driven by people taking over existing businesses only. Somebody still has to start some new ones.
Yeah, and address new issues.
Absolutely. So I think there's benefit. The ETA piece is appealing to many of them because it's cash flowing already. There's systems in place. There's people in place, maybe managers. I don't have to actually go in and work this thing, although sometimes that's the right thing to do. So there's an attractiveness there. You think about business attractiveness, business readiness, right? That makes it appealing to that generation. Like, I don't have to go through those same hurdles that founder went through when they started the business. But I think there's something that happens to you as an entrepreneur when you do go through those hurdles. There's you're tested by fire, foundry, so to speak. So you're harder and you're better when you go through it.
So you talked about something earlier about seller financing, right?
Yes.
And what we used to look at, this is back in the day when we were not at EPI yet, we were back in our consulting company in more micro market businesses. And I had to do this with my first business was a micro market business that I sold. And I had to do a third. I got a third. The buyer got a third from the bank. They put a third down, and I had to do seller and finance a third. Right. Is that what you're seeing in the market today, or how are you positioning your
It
your
depends
clients?
on the size. Okay, so like for example, a lot of the folks that we've met with here at the show, they're hearing from some of the other folks that they've worked with that we work in that sweet spot of 5 million, 10 million, 20 million or up. Sure. And, the largest deal we did at Transworld last year was 62 million.
Okay.
But we also do all the Main Street stuff.
Yeah.
That's the mom and pop people that
of course.
Those businesses are typically going through, let's say, an SBA financing, provided good books and records, all that type of stuff. And in that case, really, the buyer only has to bring 10% down. And if it cash flows well, the bank is going to finance the other 90%. There might not be a seller hold, or it may only be 5% seller hold. Okay, that's very appealing to the seller, and really appealing to the buyer because the buyer can stretch that payment out over 10 years. If you took a third, how long was it? What was the payback? What was the term?
Like a year.
A year.
Yeah. It was
so if I go through the SBA, I get a 10-year term.
Yeah.
Okay, that's much more affordable for me to do. And realistically, a lot of times the buyer after 2 years is going to go back and refinance it anyway.
Yeah.
And so if there was a seller finance, they may be able to pay that seller off at that point, refinance for another 10 years, lower the payment again. Everybody's happy. They keep moving.
We mentioned micro market companies a couple of times, and I find I just find it fascinating. I think these are the businesses that we interact with all the time. In fact,
that's American fabric.
I think it's like 90% of American privately held companies are $5 million in revenue and less.
That's
These
right.
are the folks that really kind of power what we do. Who are the buyers for those kind of companies? Right? I don't think they're certainly not selling to like a private equity group.
Probably not.
But what are the buyers for them?
That's remember I said there's the pegs, there's the family offices, there's the individuals. That's the corporate refugee, or it's that newer buyer coming into the market that's saying, I don't want to work for someone else for 30 years and get a gold watch like my grandfather did.
Sure.
I want to be my own boss. I either want to buy something and run it. There are some family offices that'll come into the space because their strategy is not buy and flip, it's buy and hold. But there's a lot of individuals that are looking at it and saying, I want to control my own destiny. I don't want somebody coming and telling me, thanks for being here, but we can't use you anymore. Like if I'm going to exit, I'm going to exit on my terms.
Sure.
And that's who that buyer is. It's an individual. It might be a family, or it's one of these younger people that are saying, I just don't want to work for somebody else from the outside.
Yeah, I think it might be an interesting 10 to 20 years in this space, right? Because I think the millennials are going to be these boomerang exits.
Yeah.
We're not going to hold businesses like baby boomer counterparts did. Every maybe 10 to 15 years, we'll buy, improve, grow, and sell.
That's right.
Right? So and
then they'll do it again.
And then they'll do it again. It's kind of a cool client for you, though, right? Because
Yeah,
I could technically, the ideal journey for you is I buy a business with you, we grow that, and we sell it together, and then we go buy another one. Right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly
right. So perhaps in closing, so maybe two-part question. The first part is, how can SEPAs better collaborate with you guys at Transworld?
Well, I think there's probably two pieces to it. First, we have a program called Smart Pass. Jeff Griffith is our middle market services guy, and he can work with any SEPA that is looking to be able to get connected to Transworld to help them bring that Transworld person into the conversation earlier. They could also always go to their tworld.com, which is our website, and see, hey, where are those locations? Again, there's about 220, 230 offices across the U.S. Feel free to go to tworld.com, search office locations, reach out to that local franchisee or their agents. Many of our offices have the franchisee and multiple people that work on their team. So I think that's probably the first and foremost piece. The second is we're encouraging all of the franchisees and their agents in our network to reach out to those people who are SEPAs in their local community, because that's what it is. It's local people helping local people with get those businesses sold.
So in closing, then part two, what are you most excited about? I've been asking kind of everybody that's been on this Summit Edition podcast stage. You know, we're here at the Exit Planning Summit. We get home, we're about midway through the year. What are you most excited about?
What are we most excited about? Well, we're approaching third year in a row will be a billion to $1.4 billion in transaction revenue through all of the offices. We're really excited about that. We're also excited for the Transworld side because we are a franchise organization, which we didn't touch on really too much at all. We're excited about all the people who are becoming part of the Transworld network, both as new franchisees in America, agents that they're hiring, and we're going to expand to about 10 other countries this year.
I think that's actually interesting. What dawned on me when you just said that too is that could this also be the next act for an exiting owner? So I sold my business, and now I want to help people sell their businesses, so I buy a franchise. Right?
They buy a franchise. We have a lot of our franchisees who are former clients of the Transworld office.
That's interesting.
They sell it, and they go, okay, I'm going to retire. You can only play golf for so long. You can only cruise on the boat for so long.
They have to have a wealth of knowledge.
What else am I going to do? Right. So they come back.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing because it could be a part of that personal plan, right? When we're over here, at least on my mind, thinking on the business, financial planning, and then eventual exit side to a third party of some nature. And I'm thinking is if you make this is what you'll hear me talk about tomorrow morning in this overlooked leg of the stool personal planning section, is we need to create out this personal planning portfolio, and then almost you could dive into each layer of that portfolio to see different opportunities. And one of the things is obviously answering the question is what's next for my professional career or for my business career, and what's next could be, well, maybe I'll buy a franchise.
Right. Or at least invest in it. It's funny, I had a conversation at the booth earlier today, and one of the guys we were talking about exiting and their clients. And I said, one of the other things that's the leg of our stool is we also franchise businesses. And he said, what does that mean? I said, well, you may have a client that says, I don't want to sell it. I make so much money in this thing. I wish I had 50 of them. Send them to the Transworld guy, because our experience before even becoming Transworld Business Advisors, the firm, is we've been in the franchising space since 1986. We franchised our own companies, and each year for the last 3 years, we've franchised 70 different clients.
Wow.
Take their concept, turn it into a franchise, and then help them scale.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I appreciate you, and I
Thanks,
appreciate
Scott.
your sponsorship in a big way. I hope that we get a lot of SEPAs coming over.
We're going to
and
get great stuff
interacting,
out of
and
it for both of us.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll be right back on the Exit Is Now podcast.
Hey there, business owners. Are you ready for a game-changing opportunity? Introducing the 2023 National State of Owner Readiness Report. Over the past decade, this groundbreaking research has reshaped how we view business ownership and exit planning. This report isn't just another study, it's a deep dive into the evolution of business ownership. It shines a spotlight on the crucial intersection of business attractiveness and owner readiness, revealing the undeniable impact of preparation on achieving successful transitions. With younger generations taking the reins, exit planning is taking on a whole new perspective. Education and awareness about preparing for the future have never been more crucial, and with financial readiness leading the charge, there's a clear opportunity for growth and learning. But here's the kicker. The report shows a surge in exit planning education and understanding, yet many still lack formal transition teams, highlighting the essential role of comprehensive support. So who's got your back? Trusted advisors have evolved from CPAs to financial advisors, making a decade of significant change in support networks. Ready to take the next step towards a successful exit? Dive into the Exit Planning Institute's 2023 National State of Owner Readiness Report and start shaping your legacy today. The future is knocking. Are you ready to answer? Discover your readiness level at 2023ownerreadiness.com and take the first step towards a successful and significant exit.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Exit Is Now podcast with me, your host, Scott Snider, here again at the Exit Planning Summit on our Exit Planning Summit Special Edition. So we have several guests from 15-year SEPAs to award-winning SEPAs, partners, sponsors, and here at Summit Exploration Time, which is what we're attempting to do this year, is bring out a festival style of experience so people can learn in the ways that they want to learn and meet people in the ways that they want to meet people. So first up, Todd, thank you for such being so dedicated to the exit planning space. Todd won Thought Leader of the Year on Sunday at our Excellence in Exit Planning Awards. So let's take me on that journey. I think we've been collaborating and partnering with you guys for maybe 2 or 3 years now, but for you fast forward 2 or 3 years and you have a pretty robust program. Can you talk about the program that you guys have?
Well, it all starts with when you and I met, probably 2024, when I got my SEPA designation.
Yep.
We started working with bringing in resources to thrive and to work with business owners for really buy-sell planning, key person, executive, really transactional type work. I didn't know SEPA even existed.
Exactly.
I started leaning into the space, and then someone introduced me to that. I read the book.
Yep.
I went and got the SEPA, and I got jacked up. And what blew my mind is the opportunity is so broad. And when you came out and talked to our advisors at our business development conference in 2024, that started our partnership. And so we learned along the way. The first thing we did was we brought in a lot more people to SEPA designation.
Yep.
I think we brought in like 50 some advisors in 2024 into SEPA.
Yeah.
And then we started putting together programs, educational programs. It was a combination of Josh Koza was working with us. Like, let's just start dripping education into our financial advisor world. So we put together at first 2 cohorts. Mm-hmm. We kind of call it a core knowledge cohort, where advisors were just dipping their toe into the water. Then for those that had their SEPA, the SEPA advancement program, and then the elite was the mastermind program. And these are about 20 advisors that really focus on the business markets, do joint field work, and are go-to people for joint field work.
Yeah, so once somebody becomes a SEPA, they can now continuously dive deeper internally right at the firm.
Right.
And through these different cohorts. And what kind of stuff are you teaching at that level?
Well, the first thing is expose them to all the partners that are available in the exit planning community. Mm-hmm. So as I'm looking at you, I'm looking behind you, and there's like 50 or so vendors.
Yeah.
And how do you helping the advisors understand you do not need to know it all. What you do need to know is who can help you, who can you partner with. And one of the first things you have to help a financial advisor understand is they're not out here to poach your clients. They're actually out there to work with you as a partner to allow you to focus on what you do best. And that's personal and financial planning. And all the other stuff, you can really hand off.
Yeah, partner out. I mean, that's kind of a loose theme, if you will, here at the Exit Planning Summit, which is connection and clarity. And I think you've said it. I think you said it right. Is that I think for many of us who come out of the SEPA program and we kind of want to do it all. I think we're passionate, dedicated individuals that want to go help business owners. But I think what we've realized, at least with you, right, is that there's 80 organizations out there that are looking to partner with certified exit planning advisors in different ways. So when I think of the SEPA credentialing program, I think of a program that wasn't, in fact, intentionally designed to be very broad, but not very deep, because we're not trying to make the individual an expert at everything. But what we are trying to do for our certified exit planning advisors is really teach them how value is driven and measured inside of a company, teach them how goals are aligned, business, personal, and financial goals should be aligned, and then 3, become masterful at collaborating and teaming. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. We talked about, I asked all of our award winners to do some self-reflection and what you have been doing over the last rolling 12 months or so from summit to summit. One of the other things that you mentioned was a want to build out this collaborative network, this Rolodex of advisors perhaps that they should be working on. What does that look like, and how is that being built out at the firm?
So we actually have a formal website now that's built out for our masterminds, for our financial advisors looking to work in this space. Yep. They don't know where to start. They can actually go to this website, find out who's an advisor that has expertise in this space, that is licensed in their area, and the various skill sets that they have. And some will do workshops. Some will actually do what we call dedicated planning services. Some are just really good at starting that initial conversation, which, by the way, is the hardest thing for most of our financial advisors to do. Yeah. Is they've worked with their clients for 15 years. They've done a fantastic job at personal and financial planning, but they've never brought up the business. They don't know how. So just helping them get that conversation started is transformation.
Yeah, so some of the ways that we're trying to help people get the conversation started, as well as leveraging what I'm calling phase 2 of something like drivevalue.com, using it to help drive business owners to help them leverage the language and tools of value acceleration. And there's really a 4-step value creation process. How do I change my mindset? How do I learn how to measure value? How do I drive value? And then how do I align my goals? As a fellow NASCAR fan that has seen this experience, you were a part of the original group of folks that helped launch this brand last year in Nashville. What do you guys think? What are you thinking as you hear at the summit, the kind of phase 2, the next rendition of drivevalue.com, and how we can help business owners?
Well, it's about action now.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about it is you're bringing more of the business owners together.
Exactly.
It's not just bringing this community together. You're bringing business owners together.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
It is.
And you're doing that nationwide. And okay, and I got to put a plug on. I'm a NASCAR fan. And so these the NASCAR fans actually align with the value of EPI quite well. You know this. You're a part of the NASCAR community, whether people realize it or not. Yeah. And their faith is very big. Yeah. Values, family. Yeah. And advancement, achievement is all something that they deeply value, and that's. I think you found a really neat way to do that with.
Well, we knew we wanted with drivevalue.com. We knew we wanted to meet owners in their kind of watering holes, right, where they go to have some fun, so that we can get them not necessarily dialed into their business, but with perhaps a more open mind and an exciting mind. And so we looked actually at all of the different sports leagues in the United States. And when we looked at NASCAR, and you know this from being a fan, is that NASCAR, out of all Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, the whole thing, that they allow you to get more, it's a deeper and more intimate experience, right? You can't go sit into the Cleveland Cavaliers locker room and listen to their pregame speech, but you can at a NASCAR event, which you experience. So I just think the experience when you get to the racetrack is quite interesting. And beyond that, you're absolutely right. It's a pretty dedicated crowd. When you look at all of the sports leagues in America, what you'll also find is that NASCAR fans are the most dedicated fans and most loyal fans by data in the United States. And I always, when I think about this, you could probably appreciate this as a fan as well, that when I thought about that statement, I saw this data when we're sitting in a room with NASCAR trying to figure out how many business owners they have and how do they engage with products that you put in front of them. I thought about my buddy Jesse, and the guy is like a good old boy farmer from Ohio. He loves NASCAR, and he only puts Sunoco fuel in his Chevy truck because it's the official fuel of NASCAR. Yep. That's loyalty. And so I'm hoping that the lower middle market, the micro market business owners that are interacting with us in the NASCAR circuit are as loyal to the DriveValue.com brand and the Certified Exit Planning Advisor as they are to Sunoco fuel. Nevertheless, maybe in parting, as our now Thought Leader of the Year, a title that you will hold now forever, and certainly a title that will be very visible to our Exit Planning Institute community over the next really rolling 12 months until we get to the next Exit Planning Summit. What is your advice for SEPAs out there? We have probably about 50% of this audience that comes to the summit nowadays is first-timers. They're looking to expand their knowledge, gain clarity, connect with others. What kind of advice do you have for them?
Well, number one is take advantage of the resources that EPI is providing. You change things up. So when I got my SEPA, I got it, I'm like, what do I do now? And everyone was like, just blown away. It was almost too much information. Now you got the tracks. Find the track that aligns best with your expertise. Find that track, stick with it, take advantage of the offerings that you provide, and just get started. And if you don't know what to say, or if you're worried about the technical aspects of it, bring someone in with you. And it can be even another financial advisor or wealth advisor, just to ask those questions and take it a step further. Help them understand what is it that they really want to accomplish as a business owner, what are their fears, concerns, and then lay out the process for the next gate.
Yeah, I think another theme here this year, beyond connection and clarity, it's really about activation. We're really looking to activate the community to move owners into the value acceleration methodology and create significant companies. So I think you're spot on. I love that you mentioned that you can bring another financial advisor with you. I find EPI to be a wildly collaborative community. And I think people sometimes forget that I think we're still in a blue ocean versus a red ocean, right? A red ocean is something that's wildly oversaturated. There's just a bunch of competition. For me, I actually think that we're still in quite a big blue ocean. You heard me talk from the stage this morning. Yes, I think that we can immediately affect baby boomers and Generation X, but I'm actually most excited to see how the younger generations are embracing the use of a SEPA and embracing value acceleration. So in a kind of a closing question, if you will, what are you most excited about in the exit planning community, EPI community, or just generally in the market right now?
We're just starting. I mean, and this is, I shared this with you once before. This is missional work. Yeah. And so the company I work for is known in more rural areas, smaller towns, smaller cities. And you have companies like ours and Edward Jones out there. Mm-hmm. And when a big family business goes down, it's got a ripple effect throughout the community.
No doubt.
So the billions, trillions of dollars in the marketplace and throughout the fabric of the United States, it is absolutely critical that our financial advisors and the exit planning community works together to transition that properly for the next generation. So to keep America strong. I love NASCAR. I love America. So
yeah.
This to me is missional work, and it's really cool to be a part of it, and really truly at the beginning stages.
Todd, well, I appreciate you and all the work that you do here in EPI and really across the board in our profession. A job well done. Congratulations again on being the Thought Leader of the Year. And we will be right back on the Exit Is Now podcast with our next guest. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Scott.
it.
Are you a business owner seeking to unlock the true potential of your enterprise? Look no further than the second edition of Christopher Snider's revolutionary book, Walking to Destiny: 11 Actions an Owner Must Take to Rapidly Grow Value and Unlock Wealth. In this updated edition, Snider presents proven strategies for maximizing your company's value and accelerating growth. Whether you're aiming to sell or simply want to ensure long-term success, this book offers a blueprint for building a thriving, self-sustaining business. Walking to Destiny isn't just another book, it's a game changer, backed by Snider's own experience as a successful business owner and as a SEPA. This book bridges the gap between business owners and advisors, guiding you towards financial freedom. But don't just take our word for it. Hear from those whose lives have been transformed by its insights. One satisfied reader raves, "The best guide for transitioning out of privately owned companies. I recommend it to all business owners and advisors. Another praises it on its focus for maximizing business value, calling it their, quote, principal tool for educating owners. Ready to take control of your business's destiny? Visit walkingtodestiny.com now and use code EXITISNOW to claim your free copy of Walking to Destiny, 11 actions an owner must take to rapidly grow value and unlock wealth. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make the moment perfect by seizing this opportunity today.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to our Exit is Now podcast, Summit Edition, hanging out during our Summit Exploration Time, as I've been describing it, this festival style of experience where you could learn in the ways that you want to learn, meet people in the ways that you want to meet people, and bop around over the course of 3 hours experiencing different stages, one of them being the Summit Edition podcast stage. So I'm sitting with our friend. You've seen him before on our podcast. We've had a lot of fun. Yep. Mr. Neil McPeak was nominated this year for Exit Planner of the Year, and what a year. I think, honestly, what a year for you. I mean, we did the case study on you.
Yeah.
And I think I would lead with, I think, one of the most interesting things, and that you've now branded yourself, if you will, the way you're showing up in front of owners is as a pre-sale advisor. So can you talk me through that?
Yeah, sure. So our story, can I go through my story, Scott?
Yeah,
kind
of course.
So our story is that we lost a major sale. So we had a longtime client, a 20-year relationship, and we were really well positioned in the sale, and it was a $1 billion sale.
Yeah.
So it was a 10-figure exit for this client, and we lost the opportunity.
That's wild.
So we did not get any of the money from that $1 billion sale, and the reason was that we were positioned as the financial planner and the wealth manager, and we were not positioned as the exit planning specialist. So the client of the $1 billion sale, again, we were probably the best positioned professional out there. 20-year relationship, had helped him grow his business. Investment performance was great. He respected us, but he didn't look at us as the specialist in this transition period. So we completely lost the opportunity.
Did he keep some of his investments with you? And he just came up to you one day and was like,
so we kept everything that we had.
Okay.
So all the existing assets were stayed.
Yep.
But we thought we had the relationship. So it was a $950 million exit.
Yeah.
And we thought we were in the first position, and we weren't. And the reason why, and the sole reason, was that he was looking for somebody to specifically guide him through the exit process. And for us, I mean, that opened up when you have a loss like that, I mean, it opens up your eyes. So what we did is now 4 of our advisors have SEPA, are SEPA certified. And then to your point, we rebranded ourselves as, pre-sale advisors.
Yeah.
So we went to every center of influence and said, listen, this is what we do. If you have somebody who is looking to transition or sell, we would like to be your first call. And it's amazing because not a lot of advisors or wealth managers at least in our space, were positioning themselves as the pre-sale specialist.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super unique. The thing that I when you start to tell this story, we talk a lot about how we're showing up in front of business owners, but for the audience that's listening in and even listening in back on the podcast channels, Neil just mentioned actually showing up to your center of influence that way as well, so that I would assume the CPA, the investment banker, the folks that you partner with know that you're a business owner specialist, know that you're a pre-sale advisor. So that had to be a game changer for you too.
That was the biggest. That has driven the most business for us. So we do maybe about 5 to 7 business sales per year now, and then but it's all coming from centers of influence. So we go to people and say, our elevator speech is not, we work with, clients who are retirement planning. We're not financial planners anymore. We are specifically pre-sale specialists for business owners. So you think about your centers of influence like CPAs, they probably have a handful of clients, maybe 1 or 2, maybe it's a larger firm, they have a handful that have this need, but they don't have somebody who they can confidently hand off that client to. So our goal is to be their first person that they think about when they have a client who's looking to sell.
I asked all of our nominees this year to kind of write up a self-reflection of the last 12 months. And really stood out for me when I read through what your reflection was is that you talked a lot about personal planning too inside of that self-reflection.
Yeah.
And again, if there's maybe a third big theme at this Exit Planning Summit is that there's several sessions this year around what we're calling the most overlooked leg of the stool, this personal planning.
Absolutely.
And we put personal planning with the financial planning because they're so interrelated. We put them down in one of the two concurrent paths. But what are you thinking about personal planning? Do you see more young owners taking on personal planning? Are more veteran owners taking on personal planning? I just thought it was a reflective moment to see you. You didn't lead with business planning in your reflection. You didn't even lead with your own specialty financial planning. You said, look, I want to show up first, helping an owner personally plan for what's next.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a good quote that says like, people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yep.
And you hear that, but when you live that, I mean, I think it actually leads to true results. So for us, the personal planning for us is always first. When I have a meeting with a client, if I'm listening 90% of the time and, only talking 10% of the time, then I know that that's a good meeting. I want them to talk as much as they possibly can. Ideally, they're talking for the first couple of meetings. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
I'm just understanding. And what happens when you do when you lead with personal planning first, you get to understand what actually matters to them. And what I've learned with business owners is that it's not always to get the highest value. It's not always. Usually, there's a hot point or there's a trigger point that someone has not fixed yet that isn't getting them to the next level.
Yeah.
For a lot of clients, it's their family. How do I transition money to the next generation? How do I transition this business to the next generation? So all of that personal planning for us has been essential, and then what happens is then the exit happens almost happens by itself.
Yep.
Because we're doing the right thing and basically understanding all the personal hot points that we can solve first.
Yeah.
And then we can get into, once those roadblocks are clear, then we can get into the numbers.
Are you taking maybe a challenging question, right? As a family business owner myself with my dad, we talk a lot about our SEPAs coming out of the SEPA program and using the methodology in their own businesses, right? Challenging ourselves to live on a more value acceleration centric lifestyle. So are you bringing this also into your business so that you can be even better at it when you're teaching it to owners?
So that's a fantastic question. And it is very hard to self-diagnose right? So what I've learned is that I need to bring in third parties to evaluate, even though we're specialists in this area.
Yeah, of course.
I love to have other people come in and say, Neil, you're looking at this wrong.
Yeah.
Or look at this differently, or help me diagnose. So we need those professionals to help in our business. We're so close. So our background it's second generation business.
Exactly.
But we're so close to the dynamics of, family and business that it's hard to separate. So I do need I know my blind spot now through the last year.
Yeah.
I know that I need another party to come in and say, Neil, you got to look at this differently.
Yeah.
It's so that's been my biggest revelation is that I cannot do that myself. I need someone else to look at, even though I'm a specialist in this area.
Yeah, the third party I think always is a high impact moment. It's funny, right? Because my dad obviously created the whole thing, right? So we sit in our own business and we have people like Thought Leadership Council, or we have a board of advisors, and then me and Dad obviously have a advisory team and then an exit advisory team, everything that we teach. And I find Dad, who's also, Dad's unique in a sense that he's entrepreneurial. He's an entrepreneurial advisor, just like you, right? Where he teaches this stuff to others, but at the same time has to live it as a business owner himself.
Yeah.
It was funny. We had Justin Goodbread, who's on the stage behind us now on the Growth and Impact stage, look at my dad in our last board meeting, and he said, Chris, do you and Scott are regularly doing a triggering event engagement in the Discovery Gate? And we go, yeah, we do it every December. And then we go into this, Tom Deans as a family business specialist. We go into his family business blueprint. There's 12 questions that you ask and answer of family business owners. And we went through that description, and then Justin challenged us. He looked at us and he said, well, who's doing the enterprise value assessment? Who's doing the triggering event? And I'm like, I sat there and smiled because I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And he said, and then Dad goes, well, we are. We're doing our own assessment. And Justin's like, challenge point, right? Should you actually be truly getting a third party opinion? Because don't you what like we would teach to owners is that we have our own natural bias as business owners. And so to your point, that's a great answer, because I think that we do all have that aha moment, even we do at EPI, to say, look, yes, we're specialists. Dad created the methodology. He's been doing this for years. But I think one of the revelations you can have is maybe I need to leverage the people that I partner with regularly to also give me a assessment on my own business.
Oh, wow,
so
that's great, Scott.
Another a question for you is, there's a ton of young folks entering our industry, people in their 30s, 40s, and they're saying, look, when we start to study the new SEPAs coming in, about 20 to 25% of a new SEPA class this year has been folks that are indicating they have little to no business owner clients.
Oh, really?
And so they're looking to come in. Yeah, I thought it was interesting is that we have these, you'll hear me talk about this at the summit stage tomorrow. We have 2 opportunities at colleges and universities to put our certificate course into the college. So
that's fantastic.
We're pretty close. It might be already even in the approval box, but we have a certificate in exit planning coming out at Seton Hall University, and another one at University of Michigan. And I tell that story because we're going to have college kids that are graduating college or undergrad with a certificate in exit planning, leading them on the path to become a certified exit planning advisor. Why? Because I think business owners are where it's at.
Yeah.
So if you're an advisor in the space, we're not saying all of your clients should be business owners by any means, but I think if people can start to adopt the value acceleration methodology, and I think younger generations will, even more so than the generations that we see in the market right now, I think it's really a place for young advisors to start to play and learn and really have an active market. So for young advisors coming in for the very first time, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Yeah, for the young advisors, I would say is that it's okay to start small.
Yep.
I mean, the advantage that you have as a younger advisor is that you can grow with the business owner. And that, honestly, for me, it's been a lot of fun to see people grow. I mean, we have a client who is a social media influencer.
Yep.
And he went from 0 to making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, $1 million a month.
$1 million a month.
$1 million a month.
Yeah.
So he's grown over this time, but we've seen him grow over this long period of time. And honestly, the fun part about working with business owners is not just the exit, but it's getting them from 0 to that exit point. So as a young advisor, I would not turn anyone away. I mean, anyone has potential to be a great business owner. So, and it's amazing to see these people grow. That's, again, I said it before, but it's the most fun part of this business is to help somebody grow. So like the $1 billion exit that when we lost, we helped mortgage his house to buy equipment, and that's when he had 0. So when you can help someone when they have nothing and build them up, I mean, that's a really special part about our business and what we do. So as a young advisor, I would not be looking at the exit as much as how can I improve that person's life? How can I help them?
Spot on.
And don't be afraid to start small.
Cool.
Because every business owner needs some advice and some help.
So last question, perhaps in closing, is how would you leverage the Exit Planning Summit experience? Again, there's about 50% of the audience here that is a brand new SEPA. It's become a really natural stepping stone for people coming out of the SEPA program to say, look, I want to immerse myself in the community, and the way to do that is to get to the Exit Planning Summit. And so as a first-time summit goer, somebody new to the community navigating this specific experience, any advice for them?
So the best change, Scott, and I would love to hear the inspiration behind the change in the summit, has been this venue right here. So being able to interact with fellow SEPAs and fellow experts, that is what makes the summit and honestly EPI so special. Is that it truly is a community.
Thank you.
You have a community of people who are working together. Working with business owners is a team sport.
Absolutely.
It is an absolute team sport. You cannot do it on your own. I don't think you can do it well on your own. You need the people in this room. And the beauty about EPI and the summit is that it's truly collaborative. So for somebody who's new and first time at the summit, I encourage you to go and say hello to somebody and go up and be friendly. And I'll close, Scott, if it's okay.
Sure.
You have the best staff.
Thanks.
The people at EPI are extremely welcoming. They're dedicated to the cause, and they're just great people. So if you're a first time here at the summit, I would encourage you to talk to someone from EPI, you know, and meet your fellow CEPAs.
I'm glad that you said that too. It's like the inspiration, to answer your question, the inspiration behind setting this up the way that we have was really from you guys. And so we had a pause point, and we said, look, it sounds so simple, right? And as a business owner, it's these pause points, and we sat there and said, let's give them what they want, right? You guys give us great feedback every year, and we said, look, they want more time. You guys indicate, like, the sessions are great, but what you guys are really said that you're after, they said some of my favorite parts are the conversations I have in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how can I take these conversations that are just done in a hallway and give you more of a way to have even deeper, more intentional conversations? And frankly, we rewrote the mission statement, if you will, of the summit, and more human experiences. And so every so often I might jump because I hear somebody like hitting a long drive over there. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yes.
But every so often, if you go over there and there's the pool tables, there's the cornhole, there's the longest drive, you have people, to your point, that maybe would have never met each other if they didn't go out and hang out in that more human or authentic experience. So I think one of the other internal themes for us this year at the summit is slow down, listen to your CEPAs, and then build an experience that they're truly looking for. And so it's turned into, I think, hopefully a very unique conference for our certified exit planning advisors, because to your point, there's about 19 different professional disciplines here. So it's likely that you're bumping into somebody that you could do peer sharing with, to your point, another financial advisor that's also growing their business and putting the value acceleration methodology into action. But there's also referral partners in the room as well.
Absolutely.
So, but I appreciate everything that you did, that you have done, and that you're doing, and a job well done. Congratulations on being nominated for Exit Plan of the Year. I appreciate it. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.